Rusame reader, Crow's Song, and today I will be reading to you from Stars and Moonflowers in Our Garden by RainbowStar_772. That's me! Now, on to Chapter 4, Letter Received and a Nice Visitor. America got up out of bed. He'd been unable to sleep last night. Honestly, Argentina had spooked him quite badly. He really enjoyed sleep, even if he didn't need it. He slipped on his normal outfit and stepped out of his room. It was 6:30. He was sure he had enough time to eat something for breakfast and take the long way to his office. Maybe he could catch Mexico before he hopped off to his job. Mexico was a member of the Guard, and had said he'd keep an eye on Italy for him. For that, America was thankful. He could probably keep Italy from doing something stupid while his arm was healing. He walked into the kitchen and made himself a plate of eggs and bacon someone had made the day before. He was a little surprised there was still some left, everything considered. After he ate, he cleaned up behind himself, leaving the plate he'd eaten off in the drying rack. He went back to his room and checked the time. It was now 6:53. Still too early to leave. Though Mexico should be up and dressed by now. America hummed to himself and made his way to Mexico's room. Before he got there, he ran into him in the hall. Literally. "Sorry, didn't mean to run into you." America apologized, helping his friend up. Nah, it's alright, mi amigo," Mexico said with a smile. He dusted himself off with a small laugh. "Something seems to be on your mind. Care to tell?" The Spanish is obviously my friend. America laughed nervously and rubbed the back of his neck with a gloved hand. "I was actually going to go find you. It's about your sister." "Dios mío! What'd she do this time? Pray tell, Rosa." Mexico seemed frustrated. It wasn't the first time America had told him about his sister doing things. The Spanish translates to "my God" and "Rose." America paused. He didn't want to say everything, but Mexico could tell when he didn't say everything. "She pulled me into a kiss that I did not want. She is still convinced that she can fix me," he said. He decided to leave out the demand for marriage. He was certain that Argentina would tell Mexico about that herself. "I elbowed her in the stomach. Sorry." "Good, you finally defended yourself. About time. Anyway, I have to go. We are supposed to show up at training early today," Mexico said, patting America's head. "Don't forget to keep Italy from being dumb," America yelled after his friend. I won't, Rosa." Content, America followed, ready to head to his office the long way. The long way was more scenic, and had him walking by the flowers he liked to care for at night. He passed by the patch of chamomile flowers that were under Prince Russia's window. They looked good, even though he hadn't had the time to care for them properly the night before. He was glad for that, and continued to walk. Eventually, he found himself in his office. He was early, an hour or so early. It was 7:55, and his day shift started at 9. He noticed a large box at his door, and smiled blithely. It was the supply refills he'd requested. They'd take a while to unpack, so he was glad to be early. At around 9, he heard someone yell, "I'll live!" But he wasn't sure who it was, but knew it was from the direction of the prince's room. He laughed a little to himself, and went back to unpacking the box of supplies. It was another hour or two before anything of note happened. He heard someone walk in and looked up to see who had come in. It was the prince. He was surprised that the prince was here. He scanned his gaze over him and hummed a bit to himself. "You're not injured, are you?" he asked, his tone a lot softer than he intended. He had meant to use a more professional tone, but his tone was not working with him. "I'm not," Russia confirmed. He had a small smile on his face. The healer wasn't quite sure what that was about, but he hoped that maybe the prince might tell him why he was here. "Why are you here?" America asked, getting back to sorting through the supplies he'd removed from the box. "I don't mind if you stay," he reassured as he continued his work. There was a long moment of silence before the healer realized he was not going to get an answer to his question. He looked over to check on him, and the prince was quiet and staring off. More specifically, the prince was staring at him. Maybe he was lost in a memory, but there seemed to be a bit of stress to whatever he was thinking about. He waved, making sure that the prince was okay. Rush's cheeks reddened, and he apologized. Relieved, the healer went back to sorting out his supplies. He saw one of the candied cherry chocolates he'd worked on with Japan and smiled. "Something's on your mind, I presume?" he asked with a hum. "Yeah, something like that," Russia mumbled, but America still heard it. America nodded and tossed the cherry-like candy to Russia, who caught it. "That should help," America said with a little smile coming onto his face. "It's a candy I worked on with Japan." "Thank you," Russia said in a very confused tone. America realized he didn't know what it was and almost laughed at his own stupidity. "It's a distressor," America elaborated. "Whatever's on your mind seems to be a source of stress, so that should make you feel better," he said with a happy hum. Russia seemed to like it, which brought a small smile to America's face. America heard Russia's stomach growl and paused from his work. "Have you eaten today?" he asked, already knowing the answer. He made his way over to his desk as Russia answered. "Why do you ask?" America dug around in his desk, then tossed him a bag of honey-roasted sunflower seeds. He didn't bother to see if he tried them, as he heard the bag open and Russia start eating them. "If you're going to be in my office, then you should get something in your system," America said with a playful smile. Someone else came in, and America recognized it as Italy. The next 30 minutes blurred together as he scolded Italy and replaced the bandages on Italy's arm. Once Italy was out of his office, he checked the time. It was a few minutes until his shift was over. 5:48. "My shift is ending here soon, and you shouldn't miss another meal," America said, looking at Russia. "I'm not kicking you out, just saying that you should go have a meal with your family," he reassured in a soft tone. He wasn't sure why, but he wouldn't mind if Russia showed up in his office for other reasons than treatment. "Feel free to show up here anytime. I don't mind," he said after a moment of pause. He realized after a moment that he'd just given an open invitation to come back. As Russia left his office, he was sure that he'd seen a smile on his face, but shook it from his mind. He used the last 10 minutes of his shift to work towards getting the supplies put away. At the end of his shift, he walked out, leaving a good amount of work for himself to do the next day. He went to hang out with his friends for an hour, until the sun set. They left as the sky darkened, which he excitedly left to go and garden. He was early, but it wasn't like anyone cared. He should have changed outfits, but no one would care if he did this or see him. So, he didn't see the point in doing so. When he got to the chamomile flowers, he noticed something under them and carefully took it out. It was addressed to him. From what he could tell, it called him Night Gardener, which got a smile and chuckle from him. He opened it carefully and read it. Dear Night Gardener, I'm not sure of what your name is, as I've yet to get the guts to talk with you in person. But I would like to get to know you better. I have only ever seen you tending to the garden at night, so that's why I'm calling you such a silly name. But I should probably introduce myself before I ask for a name in return. I'm Neeks, or that's what I feel most comfortable being called until I gather the courage to speak with you in person. So, what would you like to be called by, if you don't feel comfortable telling me your name? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite flower? Do you have any siblings? What do you prefer in way of pronouns? Do you prefer day or night? What's your favorite season? What kind of hobbies, assuming gardening isn't one of them, do you have? What's your favorite food? What's your sexuality? Do you have any pets? If so, what are their names? My favorite color is either a shade of golden yellow or a very deep shade of maroon. My favorite flower is chamomile, which sometimes make good tea. I have 3 siblings, 2 sisters and 1 brother. I prefer he/him pronouns myself, but they/them is something I get when my hair is down. I don't mind, but I do prefer he/him. I prefer the night, though I can't be up during it often. The moon is pretty. The silver light is nice and soft. I prefer the winter a lot of the time, but fall has the best songs. I love drawing, scrapbooking, and writing sometimes. My favorite food is borscht. It's very comforting to me. I'm bisexual, but I do tend to prefer guys. I have a kitten that my dad let me keep. His name is Natalie. I wrote today as some girls seem to really annoy you. I didn't see what she did, but whatever she did got you to elbow her in the stomach. I wanted to ask you why you did that, as well as who she is, unless sharing that is something that makes you uncomfortable. If you want to write back, leave your response under the chamomile flowers where you found mine. It's an odd place, I know, but I go over and sit there whenever I can. Chamomile does smell nice. Sincerely, Neeks. The handwriting was neat and well put together. He decided that he may as well respond to this Neeks. He smiled as he gently folded the letter back up, putting it in its envelope. He put it in his messenger bag before tending to the flowers a little more. He ran back to his quarters to start writing a response to Neeks. He was sure that if he didn't finish it that night, that he may have time to the next day. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, that being said, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. And all of that out of the way, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time, and I will see you tomorrow!